Good morning and good afternoon. Welcome to another episode of Before Coffee. It's Friday. We're here to tell you all the news you need to hear about before the weekend so you don't have to worry about it. You can go blissfully on and have leisurely time, not knowing the world is crumbling around you. Or maybe it's not. I don't know, because I don't pay attention to the news on the weekends either. This is Before Coffee, the father and daughter only international game show on the internet. Podcast. I don't even know how to say that stuff together. There's too many. We have too many things.
The first and only international game
show.
That's no.
And we are here to tell you some stories. We've looked up our stories 10 to 15 minutes before we started. We've just got caffeine in our body, and we're learning to read live on stream. So let's get into today's headlines for the weekend. Today on the Friday's news dump. Mertz calls on the EU to use frozen Russian assets for Ukraine defense loan. Meanwhile, Russia is putting its eyes on Moldova.
Good morning for the United States. The Department of Justice shut down an investigation of the so-called border czar taking a bribe.
The Netherlands is returning a fossil collection taken from Indonesia in the colonial-era.
And the United States, the hurricane forecasters watch for a rare chaotic Fujiwara effect. And a Polish climber becomes the first person to ski down Everest without oxygen.
Racist fantasy. The artist who remade the record-breaking KKK celebrating film, The Birth of a Nation.
And it's National Situational Awareness Day, so I'm sitting in a room that's mostly dark, and it's September 26, 2025. I'm Before Coffee.
It is quite dark at 10 a.m. or you probably have the windows closed.
Yeah, I keep this room dark. It's already hot enough in here.
Well, that's good for a green screen for sure. When you want to put a green screen in.
Yeah, when I put that thing up, I figure out how I'm going to do it.
You're an engineer. You'll figure it out, I'm sure.
I'm not that kind of engineer.
Oh.
I mean, don't give me more credit than I'm.
I just thought they had
don't give me more credit than I'm deserved.
Thought process. That's all, I guess.
I'm barely a functional human at this point. Barely. Right? I'm a few steps away from the home.
Let's get some function in there.
Visiting me in the old veterans home soon.
Oh, give me a sec. We're like, why are we? As soon as I start the show, we start frame dropping like crazy.
Okay, we did the headlines. Did we actually finish the headlines? I don't remember. Did we finish them? I think, okay, I guess we did. All right, segue wheel. You there?
Accurate metaphor simile.
Yep. Okay, does the segue wheel show up on?
Coming off of Ukraine, we've got some news about Mertz, which is I believe the Polish Prime Minister. No, sorry, Germany. German Prime Minister has made some decisions on how they can get some more defense loans for Ukraine so they can defeat Russia. They can't help them militarily, but they can help them monetarily. This is by Lucy Pachniuk on the Kyiv Independent. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz called on the European Union to use frozen Russian assets to provide Ukraine with an interest-free loan worth about $160 billion or 140 billion euros, securing Kyiv's defense capabilities for years to come. Writing in the Financial Times on September 25th, Mertz said, he is advocating the mobilization of financial resources on the scale that will secure Ukraine's military resilience for several years, marking a reversal of Berlin's earlier skepticism about using frozen Russian assets. EU governments, including Germany, have long resisted using frozen Russian funds, citing financial and legal risks and warning that such a move could undermine confidence in the euro as a reserve currency and provoke further escalation from Moscow. Mertz acknowledged those concerns, noting that Germany remains cautious on the issues of confiscating the Russian central bank's assets. He said there are not only questions of international law to consider, but also fundamental issues concerning the euro's role as a global reserve currency. He argued that the EU must not allow those worries to block action. We must consider how, by circumventing these problems, we can make these funds available for the defense of Ukraine. Approach. Under Mertz's plan, Ukraine would receive an interest-free loan backed by frozen Russian assets. The loan, he said, would only be repaid once Moscow compensates Kyiv for wartime damages, if there even is a Moscow to repay those damages. Isn't this what caused the problem after World War I? They were like, you have to pay for all the war you did. And then, the Nazis came to say, yeah, you shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Until then, Russian assets will remain frozen as decided by the European Council. Mertz framed the proposal as a way to raise the stakes for Moscow. We must systematically and massively raise the cost of Russia's aggression, he wrote, adding that Europe needs a new impetus to change Russia's calculations, and an effective lever that will disrupt the Russian president's cynical game of buying time and bringing him to the negotiating table. He also stressed the fund should bolster Europe's defense, calling it investment in both collective security and European sovereignty. Mertz's proposal comes at a time of heightened tensions between Russia and NATO's European members. In the past month, Russian aircraft have repeatedly violated NATO airspace, underscoring the risk of escalation as Moscow's war in Ukraine grinds on. I know they don't want to escalate it, but I wish they kind of did, because as they let people just invade the airspace, what does NATO even mean if you just let people walk in?
Right.
Also, hello, Omlin.
We're warning you. It's for real this time.
Good Friday, and take care of your own weekend as well. Thank you for stopping by.
Thank you for stopping by. I'm not on camera, but...
Yes, you are.
Am I? Oh, okay.
You wanted to say something?
I'm not watching. No, I don't know if the stories are done or not. I was not saying anything.
Well, you can say your metaphor.
Just sitting here listening. Oh, I can? Oh, I have to think of a metaphor now. Okay. I was trying to think of a metaphor. The story was really short. So we're talking about freezing assets and countries that say they're going to do something and they're never going to do it. So I don't know. You're right about NATO. You draw a line in the sand, which is a metaphor, a line in the sand, and you just keep redrawing the line in the sand, and you say, don't cross that line. You know, Sevastopol was the line in the sand. Crimea was the line in the sand. Kuwait's the line in the sand. You know, Poland's, you know, we just keep going. So, anyway, just stop moving the goalposts and just put down a firm front and say, you do this and we're bombing Moscow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that might be nuclear war, but
I guess they already shot down their drones, but it's not really seen as like a counterattack to, you know, breaking their airspace.
Yeah, de-escalation is probably the answer, but the only real answer is if Putin drops dead, or, you know, it rolls in flying skull or whatever. All right, so I guess that was your only story, and
no,
I wasn't ready because it was super short.
Oh, you got another one? But I had two stories here. Russia is
I don't know. I don't remember. Not at all.
Moldova's future. That's my other story.
Oh, okay.
Also on the Kyiv independence.
All right.
Let me continue fixing this camera too. Put it in place. I need to make myself bigger. There you go. Bigger. Okay, so this is also on the Kyiv Independent by... Can you give me a person who wrote this article, please? That would be nice. Or I guess we're just going to load this article for 10 minutes. There we go.
What, the article's
this
not
is coming
loading?
out of Eastern Europe is what it says. Eastern Europe, Chisinau, Moldova. Russian-controlled politicians, troll farms, cyber attacks, vote buying, and coordinated violence. As Moldovans will head to the polls this Sunday, Russia has doubled down on its long-standing aim to gain hold of the country of 2.6 million.
Oh boy.
The ruling pro-European party, PAS, founded by President Maya Sandu, is likely to come first with around 30 to 40% of the vote, according to a number of polls. It may fall just short of a parliamentary majority, though. The main opposition, the Kremlin-aligned Patriotic Bloc, yes, how patriotic to join the Russian Federation, so patriotic, is aiming around 13 to 20% of the votes. The bloc unites the country's socialist and communist parties, isn't led by a flurry of former top officials. Ex-President Igor Dodon, ex-President Vladimir Voronin, former Prime Minister Vasily Tarlev, and the former governor of the Southern Autonomous Region, Gagauzia, Irina Vla, recently sanctioned by Canada and Ukraine, so they're not exactly on everyone's pro list. Despite the Kremlin-aligned bloc lacking the capacity to outright win the election, it comes in third and potentially fourth place that will count. Eyeing third place is Renato Usati's populist R Party, an estimated 5 to 10% of the votes. The former mayor of the northern town of Balti, Usati gained a fortune through business dealings with Russian state railways. Oh boy. Looks like they are getting a huge payout from Russia. Using vivid and vulgar speech, Usati often makes headlines by sharing information few have access to, but which does not always prove right. He boycotted Moldova's EU membership constitutional referendum last autumn, which passed with 50.33% margin or 10,000 votes. So they're really pushing these people to. Usati's third place competitor is the newly created Alternative Bloc. Some pictures, declaring themselves pro-European. So if the Alternative Bloc wins second place, there'll be a more pro-European Moldova. Whereas if this Usati wins, there'll be a more pro-Russian Moldova. So the second, third place is very important here. The Alternative Bloc is led by Cristianu Mayer's Ion Siban, banned by Romania from entering the Schengen area for security reasons. Okay, that's an interesting thing to point out. Other party leaders include Voronin's former advisor Mark Kukasik, Dodon's former Prime Minister Ion Chichu, who also boycotted Moldova's EU referendum, and the former prosecutor General Alexander Stoyanogolo, who competed against Maya Sandu in the country's 24th presidential election and gained 44.65% of the vote. Stoyanogolo was supported by the Russian-financed vote-buying scheme. So, the Russian, I guess, the hard Russian support here is really making it hard for Moldova to have a real election. They do not believe in Russia. They do not believe in Europe. They believe only in money. Unlike individual parties, which require 5% to pass the threshold, blocs would be required to gain at least 7% of the popular vote to enter parliament, a number that the Alternative Bloc is just short of, according to polls. The bloc has also printed stamped ballot papers, an illegal act, according to Central Electoral Commission, while the Alternative said that this was done for publicity reasons. The police accused them of trying to implement the carousel vote fraud scheme, whereby one person enters the polling station with a filled ballot paper, dropping it in the box, and takes out an empty one, handing it to the next person, which can enforce votes, right? Oh, I voted for him, so you better do it too. Here's your voting paper. Also, if you vote on these not real ballot papers, you might think you actually voted, and then you don't vote at all, right? I voted. Look, here's my paper. That wasn't a real vote.
There in the United States, there was fake paper ballots sent to people, and they think, sent them in. Of course, they just went somewhere.
They thought they actually voted, but they didn't vote in anything.
Right.
It was fake. Days before the election, around 20 to 30% of the population remained undecided on whom to support. According to sociologist Vadim Histraničić, these people may have both pro-European views in a largely pro-Russian areas like Gagauzia and keep quiet, or be among those who were open to receiving money for their votes in the past. They're scared that the pro-Russian areas will beat them up. You can't vote if you're dead.
Right.
That's true.
Don't even show up at the polling place. We're just going to intimidate you. Voter intimidation works.
I'm sure this happened in the U.S. too, right? I voted for Trump because my entire family voted for them and all my friends voted for him. And, if I say I didn't, they're going to disown me. So you just have to lie. Right. Yeah, I voted for him. Totally. On September 22nd, President Sandu gave a national address in which he warned that the Kremlin is pouring hundreds of millions of euros to buy hundreds of thousands of votes on both banks of the Dniester River, and abroad. People are intoxicated daily with lies. Hundreds of individuals are paid to provoke disorder, violence, and spread fear. According to Sandu, the Kremlin's local accomplices are not ideologically driven. They do not believe in Russia. They do not believe in Europe. They believe in only money, Sandu said.
Mm-hmm.
So I can believe that. According to Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Lab, until September 18th, networks produced under 30,000 posts gaining more than 55 million views, and hundreds of Moldovans were thus trained and paid to spread anti-EU, anti-government, Kremlin-aligned narratives in online content, as well as manipulative opinion polls done over the phone. Yeah, just have all your friends vote for Putin is our friend on like a Twitter poll and see, look how my people in Moldova support Putin. You don't want to be the one left out who doesn't believe in Putin, do you? The Russian propaganda machine is more disciplined. Journalist Dmitry Pelin from Moldova platform Nord News told the Kyiv Independent, What we cut out of our investigation is that Russians made a very detailed feasibility study about the income people have and the attention they lack. The northern region where Pelin works, has been particularly targeted by Russian propaganda, he said. Meanwhile, according to journalists, central authorities busy with governing the country communicated more sporadically with these citizens. We also have ethnic vote, Pelin added, referring to the fact that according to opinion polls, which could be set up, ethnic minorities in Moldova tend to speak Russian, a Soviet-era heritage, and shared Kremlin narratives. A large part of the country's population knows Russia as a primary or secondary language. Pelin himself comes from a mixed family. His mother is Ukrainian, and his father is Romanian Moldovan. They spoke Russian at home, but Pelin attended a Romanian language school. He said his caste is not unique. More and more Russian speakers send their children to Romanian language schools. So that's a problem with Moldova. It's a small country that is bordered by a lot of bigger countries, so you're going to have a lot of different people living in there. And this idea that they're all Russian is just ridiculous because they're nowhere near Russia. I mean, they're near Russia, but they're not near Russia, Until now, the diaspora has overwhelmingly voted pro-European candidates and parties. But in recent months, advertorials on social media promised Moldovans abroad between 250 and 400 euros for event management and observing elections. The money would be given in cash, and one requirement is to know the Moldovan language, the Soviet way of calling the Romanian language spoken in Moldova. So the original Moldovans, I guess, spoke Romanian, and then the Soviet-era Moldovans spoke Russian, and now you've kind of got a cultural and language barrier between different demographics in the country, which can only cause more populism and more, skewing of who's getting what votes. Of course, Ukraine cares a lot about this election, because if Moldova decides to turn over control to Russia, that would open new opportunities to stabilize southern Ukraine. Histraničić added. The volume of resources thrown into processes shows that Russia sees these elections as historic battles for the future of Moldova. The equation is simple. The better off Moldovans are, the more they distance themselves from the past Russian influence. You hear that, guys? If you're living in Moldova and you want a better life, do not vote for Russia. They want you to be in squalor so they can manipulate you.
Russia. Yeah, you get grafted right into their army.
Russia wants you to suffer as a country. And I don't think that's not propaganda. That's the truth. But there's my stories.
They don't recognize your borders. Russia will never recognize your borders, Moldova. Don't even fool yourself. I was going to say metaphor, they were basically spoils of war. Nobody ever heard of Moldova until the Soviet Union broke up.
Yeah.
Right? So they were spoils of World War II for Russia because on their way to Germany, they conquered all this territory. And they said, well, it's ours now. Doggone it. We got troops there. And we're going to have our puppet government there, do our bidding. And that lasted until roughly 87 or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's your little metaphor. Totally, until Lech Walesa in Poland, that's when the Soviet states started to break up. The Soviet satellites started to break up. Moldova probably wasn't even considered a country. I don't remember. Right? I never heard of it until the Soviet Union broke up.
Well, you weren't alive before that,
places.
right? You weren't really alive before the Soviet Union. So you wouldn't have known
I grew up. I was born during the Cold War. I was born eating strontium 90. I was born eating radiation every day.
So if you're born in the middle of when the Soviet Union was, basically became a permanent stay of history for a while there. Yeah, all the countries and all the satellite stations had no identity, and that was kind of what they wanted. Right? Russians also weren't allowed to have identity, which is so ironic that they're pushing this whole, you guys were all Russians. I was like, Russians didn't exist in the Soviet Union. It was actually illegal to be Russian in the Soviet Union. You were a Soviet, not a Russian.
How about this? I had to learn to say Germany because all my life there was a East Germany and a West Germany. There was not a Germany until the 90s. It was broke up my entire life.
Yeah, it was always had that, the direction on it before it first, yeah.
And I was like, there's an East Berlin too? That's insane. There's an East Germany plus an East Berlin. I can never understand that, right? Berlin was divided within a country.
West Germany. It's so crazy how they were able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, there was East Berlin and West Berlin, but there was also East Germany, which is separate from East Berlin. But anyway.
Our next segue is associates.
Silliness. Associated, we're going to do a short story on the criminal that's the border czar of the United States. This is, I tried to find articles about this from other places that were a little bit more informative and a little bit more, not so much quoting the administration's liars about this, but it's really hard to find. Trump's Department of Justice shut down investigation into Tom Homan seen accepting $500,000 bribe. Now, there's no doubt he took the money, but the investigation was dropped. Wow, imagine that. A criminal not being prosecuted because he's part of the government. Huh. Oh, meanwhile, did you hear? Jim Comey's been indicted, right? The former FBI guy, the guy who was basically incompetent, if you ask me, because he's the guy that got Hillary kept ragging on Hillary Clinton during the election. Anyway, that guy got indicted by Trump because Trump don't like him. But whatever. We got a criminal administration. Border czar Tom Homan. Reportedly, border czar is not an official position, by the way. It's just something that the government's paying lots of money for some guy to do nothing but sit there and give fascist speeches. Tom Homan reportedly accepted $50,000 bribe in an FBI sting last year. I mean, it wasn't like somebody else did it. The FBI, they got him dead to rights, indicating to undercover agents posing as contractors that he would steer government business their way should Trump win a second term. According to the MSNBC, who first reported the story, the investigation began in the summer of 24 in Western Texas after a subject in a separate inquiry said that Homan, who was not in government at the time, was soliciting payment in exchange for awarding contracts if Trump were to succeed in the 24 election. The undercover agents met Homan numerous times through business contact and, according to the report, captured him on video accepting the cash bribe at a meeting in Texas on September 20th, 2024. The investigation then slowed as investigators monitored Homan to see if he would make good on steering businesses their way once he became part of the Trump administration. It was public knowledge that Homan would be heading Trump's mass... $50,000 seems like nothing to one of these guys, right? But again, a bribe's a bribe. You don't have to declare it on your taxes because it never happened. It was public knowledge that Holman would be heading Trump's mass deportation policy even at the time, with the man himself telling the audience at National Conservatism Conference in July of 24, that he would run the biggest deportation operation this country's ever seen. Come January, if Trump succeeded in his bid for the White House, Holman was already raising eyebrows due to his consulting firm, Homeland Strategic Counseling, which is touted its track record of opening doors and bringing successful relationships to our clients, resulting in tens of millions of dollars of federal contracts to private companies. Yeah, he's a freaking middleman for contractors, and he's going to work for the government, and he's taking bribes. Oh, nothing corrupt about this guy. Holman told the New York Times he was shutting down that business a few days before Trump took office. Yeah, he's in a new business. It's called taking bribes for funneling government contracts. That's a great business. I love to have that business. And nobody's going to prosecute me. I do it all day long. Hey, you guys want a government contract? Give me $1 million. Congratulations.
I know the right people to talk to. Don't worry about it.
All day long, I can do that job. I guarantee you this guy is doing this every day since he took office. I guarantee he's doing it. He is taking kickbacks to give out contracts. This is what he's doing. He got caught by the FBI and he just got buried by the Department of Justice. The investigation into Holman was run by the U.S. Attorney's Office at the Western District of Texas, the FBI, and Justice Department Public Integrity Section, with sources indicating that they believed they had a strong case against the Trump official, potentially charging him with conspiracy, bribery, and 2 kinds of fraud. Experts have noted there is a precedent for conspiracy charge for a private citizen who agrees to commit a crime. In this case, bribery, once they hold public office in the future. After Trump took office, however, the investigation stalled, no surprise, with Trump's former acting Attorney General Emil Bove telling Justice Department officials he did not support the case around February. Bove is also known for dismissing the bribery case against New York City Mayor Eric Adams, another guilty bastard. FBI Director Kash Patel, who's about as smart as this hammer right here, this little tiny hammer. He's about that smart, and he's just as dumb, right? You know what dumb means? It means you're dead weight. That's what dumb means. Found no evidence of any criminal wrongdoing. No evidence, really. Took a $50,000 bribe on camera and agreed to funnel government contracts, but there was no bribe. It's just a coincidence. The White House Press Secretary Abigail Jackson called the investigation into Holman blatantly political. Oh, who cares what she says? Adding that the so-called border czar is a career law enforcement officer. What does that have to do with anything? A lifelong public servant. Again, that means nothing. And doing a phenomenal job. Phenomenal means hard to explain. Right? That's all it really means. Phenomenal just means hard to explain. That's all it fucking means. People keep using that. People keep using that word phenomenal. All it means is hard to explain. That's all it means. I can't explain it. It's phenomenal. That's all it means. I hate it when people don't know what the fucking language means and they use words like phenomenal. He's doing a hard to explain job. I mean, anyway, that's your story about the criminal, one of the criminals in the government. It's hard to keep track these days. I mean, kind of redundant in saying criminal Trump administration, but let's have us segue.
Yeah, I mean,
let's have a phenomenal segue.
I have already a perfect association, which is the story I just read. Right, another people who are blatantly known to be taking bribes from Russia. Right, blatantly, been found guilty of doing it, and saying, "Yeah, vote for me because I totally care about Moldova," as I get some money from my train contracts with Russia. Oh, yeah,
that's terrible, right? It's like, corruption is
the sad
legal.
thing is this isn't a new thing in any government. That's why you have laws against. I can't think of the phrasing right now, but basically, if you have an interest, if you have a personal interest in something, and you decide it because you have a personal interest in it, well, you can't be there to make the decision, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not. It's corruption. That is corruption.
It's a conflict.
I have all my stock options in making sure that Tesla is successful. So I better make sure that all the government decisions I make
The
sure
oldest
that Tesla
profession,
can't
the
fail.
oldest profession is bribery, right? They say, well, prostitution is the oldest profession, but it's just in the form of bribery, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? I'm bribing you because there's no other way you're going to have sex with me. You know? So,
The original
bribery, the oldest
transaction.
profession. There's your metaphor. Metaphor for bribery. Anyway, that was my one story. I'll do two in my next section. Because
Okay,
I wanted to
let's roll the
editorialize
segment
on that
wheel.
one a little bit more. But again, if you look up phenomenal, it just means hard to explain. That's all it really means. People need to stop using that word. Oh my God, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal does not necessarily mean great. You could be phenomenally stupid, for instance, right?
Our next segue is a non sequitur.
Non sequitur. I'm already in my non sequitur about the misuse of the English language. Okay.
This next story is going to be about the Netherlands returning fossils it took from Indonesia during the colonial era. I can speak. The bar is low, but hey, we should still celebrate when they go higher than the bar. This is by Mike Porter on AP News, coming out of The Hague. The Dutch government has agreed to return thousands of fossils to Indonesia from a world-renowned collection after a commission ruled that they were moved in the colonial era against the will of the people, the Education Ministry announced Friday. The historically significant trove known as the Dubois collection, I bet you that's not what it was originally called, includes a piece of skull. Oh man, another body part.
Oh no.
People are so fucking
We're always
creative.
It's fossil week.
At least it's a fossil of Homo erectus and not a Homo sapien, but still, it's like, can we
I beg your
stop
pardon.
trading body parts? From the Solo River on the island of Java, that is regarded as the first fossil evidence of Homo erectus, which is generally considered to be an ancestor of our species, Homo sapien. The fossils are often referred to as Java Man. The decision to return more than 28,000 fossils, that's a lot of stolen fossils, to Indonesia, is the latest act of restitution by the Dutch government of art and artifacts taken, often by force, from countries around the world in colonial times. To be fair, it wasn't the government that did it, right? It was private citizens that did it, but the government didn't put them in jail, you know? The government didn't go, hey, you can't do that. That's not yours. No, sir, I swear I found these fossils all on my own, all 28,000 of these. The fossils were excavated in the late 19th century by Dutch anatonomist and geologist Eugène Dubois when present-day Indonesia was a colony of the Netherlands. After extensive research, the Dutch Colonial Collections Committee concluded that the circumstances under which the fossils were obtained mean it is likely they were removed against the will of the people, resulting in an act of injustice against them. Fossils held spiritual and economic value for local people who were coerced into revealing fossil sites. Oh, like he was probably walking around, you know, in a village, and I was like, where did you get this
Rocking
really
around
cool
the Christmas
fossil
tree.
from? I just found it. I was at the river, and I just found it. It was just luck. And then, are you sure? Because a lot of people here are fossils. Don't make me beat you to death to find out where you're getting these fossils. Okay, sir, don't beat me to death. The fossils, we usually find them over there. And also, I'll be taking this fossil. Thank you. No, my fossil that I had found. Or whatever. This is my hypothetical scenario. Minister of Education and Culture and Science, Auke Moes, sealed the agreement Friday, or today, on the 26th of September, with its Indonesian counterpart, Fadil Zon, at the Naturalist Museum in Leiden, where the collection is currently housed. Oh man, I could have been there on scene reporting. That's so close to me.
Oh man.
Leiden is close
Right.
enough. I didn't know it was happening, to be fair. The committee advice is based on extensive and thorough research, said in a statement. We will apply the same level of thoroughness in working with Naturalis and our Indonesian partners to ensure the transfer proceeds smoothly. Indonesia and the Netherlands believe it is important for the collection to remain a source of scientific research. Also, today, Indonesia's President Prabowo Subianto met Dutch King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima at their palace in The Hague. Homo erectus arose in Africa in about 20 million years ago and spread widely there in Asia and possibly into Europe. It reached Java more than 1.5 million years ago, and dating techniques suggest it died at least 35,000 years before the arrival of their own species, Homo sapiens. Some Western nations are returning looted artifacts and other objects as part of a reckoning with their often brutal colonial histories. Earlier this month, Madagascar received 3 skulls of indigenous birds returned from France, including one believed to be a king killed by French troops in 128 years ago. You know what?
Yep.
This is just another more proof of hypocrisy, right? French, English, Dutch, Germans, probably Italians, right? They're all going to places saying, we're civilizing these barbarians by killing their king and keeping the skull. That's a normal civilized thing to do. Not burying it with the rest of his body and then putting a thing saying, here lies king.
We don't even know if animals did this.
Or something. No, nothing, right? Let's take his skull as a trophy. Very civilized European reaction to that. Repatriation marked the first use of the 2023 French law regulating the return of human remains to its former colonies. In recent years, a Berlin museum announced that it was ready to return hundreds of human skulls.
Wow.
Why are people having human skulls? Like,
I don't know. It's
century,
just like
guys.
having.
You know what century we're in now? Oh, my camera froze, but we're in the 21st century right now, okay? Just in case anyone doesn't know. We're in the 21st century, and people have had these skulls since the 19th century.
Yeah, and they're still not doing anything with them.
Yeah, at no point did they decide, hey, maybe we should not have these anymore, you know?
Well, they needed to study them for their, archaeology, anthropology classes.
See if I can get my camera back.
They're ancient skullduggery, as they call it.
More probably an ethnic racist. Anyways, let me finish the story. In recent years, the Berlin Museum announced it was ready to return hundreds of human skulls from the former German colony of East Africa.
100?
And France said it was returning statues, pearl thrones, and sacred altars taken from the West African nation of Benin. Belgium has returned a gold capped tooth belonging to a slain Congolese independence hero, Patrice Lumumba. At least it was only a tooth, okay? At least it wasn't his whole skull plus the tooth, okay? Like, why are you keeping people's fucking skulls from the colonial? Literally, no one is alive from the 19th century. It must be just something like, oh, yeah, that skull. I totally forgot about that. That's been in my basement for, 200 years. Totally forgot. Oh, yeah,
some people collect
stamps. Skulls from West Africa. Our bad guys.
Some people collect stamps. Some people collect stamps. Some people collect rocks.
I think
some people collect heads.
Maybe not every year, but maybe every 5 years should do like a, I'm sure they do this, right? An inventory, being like, what do we even have? What even is in the basement? And then they go, we have skulls from the 19th century. Probably should get rid of these. And they should have done that in 1980 or some shit. I don't know how long ago, but ages ago from now. 200 years later.
That's my lame dad joke there. Everybody's trying to get ahead.
Yep.
Anyway.
And finally we're returning them. But that's my story. My non sequitur. I've known about Java Man. Java Man is a very famous person that was found back in the day, and it's been a archaeological thing. Java Man was like the first Homo erectus, I believe. Java Man wasn't living in Java, man. He was living in the Netherlands, in Leiden, I guess.
No, he wasn't living at all, actually. But yeah. Anyway, that was one of your more famous dead people they found once upon a time. Probably
Homo erectus, yeah.
Java Man. There was Peking Man. Right. You remember the story? Or are we spinning the wheel?
That's it. I'm rolling the wheel.
All right, it's weather time. It's time for the weather forecast.
I'm going to write you a haiku about the weather.
Haiku about the weather. Hurricanes.
Whether you like it or not.
Yeah. Whether I like it or not. All right, I got a comment. USA Today has the story. Hurricane forecasters watch for rare chaotic Fujiwara effect. Doyle Rice has the story. The dance between developing storms in the Atlantic could soon evolve into one of meteorology's most unusual and rare events, the Fujiwara effect, which occurs when two storms interact with one another. As of the morning of September 24th, two tropical subsystems continue to meander in the southwest Atlantic Ocean. Neither is named storm yet, so they're dubbed Invest 93L and Invest 94L by the National Hurricane Center. Both are highly likely to become tropical cyclones in the next week, the Hurricane Center said, but their expected path and potential impact to the United States will remain uncertain for now. When and if the storms reach tropical storm status, one will likely be named Umberto with an H and the other Imelda with an I. Many weather models show potential for land impacts, mainly from 94L, which we're going to call Imelda, I guess, but the tracks depended upon 93L, which we're going to call Umberto. With the Fujiwara effect determining the outcome, weather trader meteorologist Ryan Mewey in the Substack post on September 24th. That's what he said. Fujiwara effect determining the outcome, he said. That's not much of a quote. The Fujiwara effect is uncommon in the Atlantic, but it can occasionally happen. Noted WPLJ TV hurricane specialist Michael Lowry in a Substack post on September 24th. When two storms or hurricanes spinning in the same direction pass close enough to each other to begin an intense dance around the common center known as the Fujiwara effect. The effect is thought to occur when storms get about 900 miles apart. Storms involved in this Fujiwara effect are rotating around each other as if they had locked arms and were square dancing. Rather than each storm spinning about the other, they are actually moving about a central point between them as if both were tied to the same post and each swung around it separately of the other. A good way to picture this is to think of two ice skaters who skate quickly toward each other, nearly on a collision course, grab hands as they are about to pass, and spin vigorously around in one big circle with their joined hands at the center. All right, that's interesting. Sort of like a big mega storm in the middle. According to weather.com, the strongest storm often dominates, tugging the weaker into its circulation, but in rare cases, two storms of similar strength can combine, creating a single, more powerful storm. The effect is named after Dr. Sakuya Fujiwara, who was the chief of Central Meteorological Bureau in Tokyo, Japan, shortly after the First World War. In 1921, he wrote a paper describing the motions of vortices in water. Water vortices, such as whirlpools, are little water whirls that spin around. Both of these storms have high chances of developing in the coming days. The eye wall and the situation has grown no less complicated, says Matt Lanza in his Substack, another meteorologist. The first thing I can say with some confidence about all this is that we are looking at a somewhat lengthy process here, Lanza said. We may be watching these systems for the next week. However, if 94L stays weak and offshore next week, the upper level pattern, the cutoff, pinching over the Tennessee Valley, could funnel abundant tropical laden air into the Carolinas and parts of the southern and central Appalachians and mid-Atlantic for the start of next week. That means we're going to be getting some rain here next week, probably.
Yeah.
But they don't know. They create models for these storms, but they don't know where they're necessarily going. They're just short little story. Hope it was short enough.
Yeah, I mean, also, it's good point. Since the names are only E's, that means these are some of the first few storms this year, right?
No. We're in the H and the I. This is H and I. Umberto and Imelda.
Oh, so, okay. Well, that's fine.
That was Imelda with an I, not an E. Yeah.
Imelda, okay.
So, yeah. We're
Imelda,
H and I. Yeah. Umberto. Not Humberto. Is
Humberto.
Umberto. The H is not pronounced. Yeah, right.
Okay. Well, I hope that I don't think that affects my haiku. Hopefully, I don't know. I'm not going to count the syllables now. Okay. Two storms twist and dance. Imelda and Umberto, nature's fierce embrace. Because they're about to hug each other, I guess, and make a superstorm or something.
There we go. Wasn't that fun? Yeah.
Wasn't that funny?
And Melda and Umberto. I've heard about them too. They're all getting all cozy. All right, our next story is about a guy skiing down Mount Everest. She said, skiing down Mount Everest, has that ever been done before?
You said you only had 2 short stories. My bad. Okay, next one then.
This is a short story. Yeah, skiing down Everest, has that been done before? No, it hasn't. Not by somebody who wasn't packing oxygen. And a first Polish climber skis down Everest without supplemental oxygen. This is from Al Jazeera. Everybody else's story seemed crappy, so I went to Al Jazeera. It's a fine news organization. Andrzel, Andrzej is his name. Andrzej. Let's say Andrzej. Andrzej Bargiel, braving heavy snowfall, glided down the world's highest mountains on his third attempt. Bargiel has become the first climber to ski down the world's highest mountain without supplemental oxygen, his team and expedition organizers say. Bargiel glided down Mount Everest snowy slopes after reaching a summit of 8,849 meters or feet, peak of the mountain on Monday. I am on top of the highest mountain in the world, and I'm going to descend it on skis, Bargiel said in a video taken before his descent and posted on Instagram early on Thursday. Everett has seen a handful of ski descents, but never a continuous downhill without additional oxygen. Okay, and we're skipping over to X-Post. In 2000, Slovenian Dovorin Karnikar made the first full ski descent from Everest summit to base camp using bottled oxygen. Chang Dawa, Sherpa of 7 Summit Treks, which organized the latest expedition, said Bargiel skied down to Camp 2, spent a night, and then reached the base camp on skis the next day. Yeah, probably had to get some oxygen while he's at base camp, right? There's not a lot of oxygen up there. Heavy snowfall forced Bargiel to spend 16 hours above 8,000 meters, known as the death zone, because of thin air and low oxygen levels heightened the risk of altitude sickness. He was greeted with a kata, a traditional Buddhist scarf, when he arrived at the base camp. So Bargiel's team said in a statement that he had made history. Wait a minute, we got sky is the limit, not for Poles. Dries Bargiel has just skied down Mount Everest, Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk, unfortunately named Donald Tusk, posted on social media. Bargiel's team said in a statement that he had made history and called it a groundbreaking milestone in the world of ski mountaineering. Bargiel started eyeing Everest a year after he became the first person to ski down Pakistan's K2, the second highest mountain in the world, in 2018. So he's done the 2 highest mountains in the world. What's next? What's next for this guy? But a dangerous overhanging serac forced him to abandon his 2019 attempt. He tried again in 22, but high winds hindered his plans. The daredevil adventurer has been on a quest to make ski descents of the highest mountains in the world under his Hic sunt leones project, a Latin phrase for here are lions. Yeah, well, lions aren't known for their mountain climbing or skiing ability, so I'm not sure being a lion is any help. In Pakistan, he has skied down all 4 of Karakoram's mountains that are higher than 8,000 meters, and also skied off Nepal's Manaslu and Shishapangma in Tibet. Autumn expeditions on Everest are rare because of the snowier terrain, shorter and colder days, and narrow summit compared with the busy spring. So he did it in autumn, barely autumn, but still autumn, and he did it. So there you go. Hooray for this guy whose name I can't pronounce. Where's your segue?
Did you just say hooray for this guy's name that I can't pronounce?
Well, yeah, he's got one of them. Let's put a bunch of D's and R's together and try to see if people can pronounce it.
You gotta take it slow, man. My haiku is crisp leaves fall like snow, gliding through autumn's colors, nature's graceful dance. There you go. I don't know if it's graceful skiing in autumn, but you know.
Sorry, home right to laugh. Yeah, he's just You tickled his fancy, I guess. I did send you a video.
Yeah,
while
Bert,
back.
you sent me a video long ago. I know. But thank you for telling me now.
You can cut it off whenever you want to. It's 6 minutes long, so you can cut it off wherever you want to.
I was just going to play the whole thing. Alliteration headline is your next.
Fine.
Your next dealio.
Alliteration. Okay, I got it right.
For my culture news. This news is coming out of, I think, the U.S., where some people have de-racified the birth of the nation, remaking it with their own less white supremacist vision, let's say. This is an interview on The Guardian by Charlotte Janssen. Stan Douglas explains why he used actors and changed plotline in his reimagining of the 1915 white supremacist vision of the U.S. origins in response to enduring prejudice. The whole film, says Stan Douglas, is a bizarre racist fantasy. I watched it numerous times, but then stopped because I was so horrified. The Canadian artist is talking about The Birth of the Nation, one of the most controversial films in Hollywood history, a 3-hour silent drama directed by D.W. Griffith, based on an earlier obsolete novel by Thomas Dixon Jr. After its release in 1915, it provoked riots across the U.S. for its glorification of the Ku Klux Klan. The film is widely deemed responsible for reinvigorating the Klan's reputation and bolstering its members. Despite attempts to ban it, The Birth of the Nation broke box office records. It takes place in the U.S. South during the Civil War, 1861 to 1965. So that would be about 50 years later they made this film about the Civil War. And the ensuing Reconstruction era. It follows members of the pro-Union, abolitionist Stone family, and pro-Confederate Camerons. The plot takes in the founding of the KKK using white actors in blackface. So they're basically showing probably people in blackface doing crimes or something and saying, see, this is why we needed the KKK, because of those non-existent black people that did nothing. Douglas first thought about remaking The Birth of the Nation 20 years ago when he was doing a series of movie recreations. He abandoned the project but returned to it recently, when Los Angeles gallery The Brick invited him to make a response to the removal of Confederate monuments in the U.S. South. The idea of identification, self-identification, and imposed identification, he says, speaking via Zoom from Vancouver, it all came together in my concept. Douglas, who is 64, was born and raised in a white middle-class neighborhood in Vancouver. In the 1980s, alongside artists such as Jeff Wall, Rodney Graham, and Vicki Alexander, he was part of the Vancouver School, a group of young artists responding to mass media imagery with conceptual, postmodern photography and films. He studied at Vancouver's Emily Carr College of Art, but just as important were the years he spent working as a DJ at a gay bar in the city. Eventually he quit. I got tired of spending all my money on dance records. But DJing still shaped his art. How to play the right part of the song at the right time, using culture to make new culture, using time-based media to make an idea or feeling. A master of the remix, Douglas is known for films and photographs that splice together the lowbrow and the lofty, turning fiction into fact, suturing landscapes and reshuffling the past. Previous works include an immersive 6-hour video of an improvised jam session by a fictional 1970s band, while he used photography to recreate the crowds at major riots around the world. He also reworked films by Alfred Hitchcock, Dario Argento, and Orson Welles. His latest show, which has just opened at Victoria Miro in London, features his remake of Birth of the Nation. The original film explains many aspects of U.S. culture. The idea of whiteness comes from the 17th century, he says. Indentured laborers, black and white, were working together. The idea that whiteness was inherently superior, with the possibility of upward mobility, a solidarity with the elite, didn't happen until 50 years into the slave trade. This would be around 1670. It was enforced by the repetition of these ideas in legislation, in churches, and in town squares. Birth of the Nation, as Douglas has called his 5-channel work, remixes a particularly chilling and violent scene from the 1915 film into a 13-minute installation. Silent and shot in black and white, in keeping with the original, it focuses on a scene with Gus, an emancipated slave played by a white actor in blackface, meets the chaste young Cameron daughter, Flora, in a forest. He proposes marriage. Appalled, Flora runs away and hurls herself off a cliff. That's quite dramatic. Gus is subsequently lynched by the clan, the mob being led by Flora's brother Ben, for her throwing herself off a cliff. This is the ideology that racists base it off of, right? She got offered marriage, she killed herself, and so he dies for that? Makes sense to me. In Douglas's version, however, one channel plays the original scene, while the other 4 seats carry his remakes. His Flora is a far less sympathetic figure, who lobs stone at a bird for amusement, then trips and accidentally falls to her death. Meanwhile, other sequences contradict the narrative of the original. Douglas invents 2 black male characters called Sam and Tom. Like Gus, they are also freedmen who want to become Confederate captains. Gus is recast as a kind of hallucination, who appears to the white characters whenever they see Sam or Tom, blurring their identities. To them, he explains, all black men are the same black man and are not to be trusted, a source of sexual violence. Although the original film is more than a century old, Douglas finds some of its conflicting ideas very current, from the suggestion that the U.S. nation could only be born by undoing black suffrage, to the suppression of voting rights. The Klan was the agent to take care of that, he said later, to make the U.S. a white supremacist society. You can't have black people voting for other black people because there'll be black people around. Make sure to pass laws to stop them. Douglas's last major exhibition in Europe included a film ISDN made for the Canadian Pavilion in 2022's Venice Biennale. In the 16th century former Venetian salt factory, he installed 2 screen call and response between True Mendos and Lady Sanity from London, Cairo-based rappers Raptor and Yusuf Joker. Douglas found connections between the politically charged Mahagranat Egyptian street music that emerged during the Arab Spring and the Tottenham MC's lyrics about race, injustice, and uprising. That period of grime, he says, was a soundtrack for the 2011 protest in London. Douglas is also a fan of the opera, which is what drew him to the 18th century British dramatist John Gay. The second part of his Victoria Miro show is a series of photographs of the enemy of all mankind, 9 scenes from John Gay's Polly. These restaged scenes form an obscure 1729 comic opera by Gay via large-scale stage picture shots in the mountains of Jamaica, with Hollywood production effects. The feature American and Jamaican actors dressed in detailed 18th century costumes borrowed from New York's Metropolitan Opera, written as a sequel to Gay's The Beggar Opera. Polly shares in this theme of misidentification and racial perception, but with a very different stance. It's a crazy story, he enthuses. It depicts imperial patriarchal hierarchies of race and class, as well as gender norms, as performative. Yes, they're all performative. I'm a man, I'm in charge of you because I perform that way. Not based off any natural inclination or God-given right? You just fake it till you make it, and that's how most of this racism and white and patriarchy have even been able to succeed. You just keep faking that these rules are correct.
I get 3 performances a day. I get 3 performances a day and 4 on Sunday.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't forget to tip your waiters and waitresses.
Putting on this performance that I am the one in charge, and people believe you, it becomes what people consider a natural, expectation in society.
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
The opera follows the capers of the eponymous protagonist Polly through the Caribbean as she tries to find her exiled husband, an escaped indentured laborer who is now a pirate called McKeith. Considered too piquant in satire at the time, with a blunt critique of British colonial ambitions, it was censored by the government and never performed in Gay's life. Classic England. Like an 18th century Some Like It Hot, it has an outlandish plot that involves subterfuge, skirmishes, and colonial settlers, courtesans and maroon queen, and pirate aplenty. Douglas sees pirates as radical political figures. Back then, he says, pirate ships weren't like in Disney movies. They were like democracies on water. His interest stems from his ongoing research into maroon societies, larger communities who escaped chattel slavery in the Americas and formed their own independent free societies. In Jamaica, some of these thrived for centuries. Haiti, of course, famously. was like, fuck you guys, get out of here, killed all the slave owners, became their own country. Piecing together pivotal moments from opera, The Enemy of All Mankind is a flamboyant visual romp with deliberately preposterous title to steer you through the action. It gives an alternative image of history, but even here, things ultimately fall apart. The pirates are defeated, and, in Gay's original, McKeith is executed. Douglas smiles. This whole idea of liberation, he says, has a dark side that always comes back. So, how tragic of an ending. Yeah, we defeated the pirates! That people who just wanted to be free from your stupid English civility. There is your interview from a guy who's basically turning the head of all of these artworks from different eras of humanity, right? Not just Birth of the Nation, but as far long ago as the colonial
Birth of the
era,
Nation.
and putting his
That
own
was
modern spin on it.
yeah, that was Woodrow Wilson sanctioned that film, Birth of a Nation.
Yeah.
Did you just say they cut the suicide scene from the movie? Is that what you just said?
No. I didn't say anything about that.
I thought you said they don't have this. They had a suicide scene in the original Birth of a Nation, but in this one they don't have it.
I didn't say those words.
Either way, that's what my headline says. It says, "Silent cinema standard streamlined, slashing suicide scene." So that's what I got from the story. That the original one had the suicide scene, and this one doesn't have it. Anyway, that's what I got from the story. So
yeah, no, they definitely still had her. They had her still falling off a cliff. I guess it wasn't suicide. I guess I can agree with that.
That's what I'm saying.
Right?
It wasn't suicide. It was an accident.
They slashed the intention of suicide. Instead, she just fell off a cliff because she's,
there you go.
a ditzy girl or something.
They slashed the suicide scene. In other words,
birds.
Right. There's no suicide scene, so they slashed the
your
suicide scene.
Going crazy, so you need to fix that.
My headline is accurate.
Seizure looking at that.
I get no applause for my things today.
You need to fix your camera. I'll give you applause while you do that because I can't see you.
My camera's doing this lately. It's probably just doing too much. All right, so
there you are.
This day in history.
You didn't roll the wheel.
Dun, 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 dun. I have not previewed any of this, so I'll be guessing.
All right, I'll give you some
Where we start.
similes or metaphors.
Similes, metaphors. We're going way back to 1580. After nearly 3 years at sea, English Admiral Francis Drake arrived in Plymouth Harbor, England, completing his circumnavigation of the globe. Or he could have just went around the island a few times and said he went around the globe. We don't know. Right? 1687, during his bombardment of the Acropolis by Venetian forces, part of the Parthenon was destroyed in a powder explosion. Hey, we've been there. Well, this is the day it happened. Yeah, the day of the Venetian. I guess we were attacked by the planet Venus that day. And Venus attacked us and blew apart the Acropolis. For some reason, some idiot was storing a bunch of gunpowder there. Not the smartest thing. 1815, the Holy Alliance of Russia, Austria, and Prussia was formed after the final defeat of Napoleon. And it was Tata Napoleon, bon voyage, enjoying St. Helena. 1820, American frontiersman and hero Daniel Boone died in St. Charles, Missouri. I'm hearing somebody talk. 1898, George Gershwin was born in Brooklyn. George Gershwin, most significant popular American composer, was born in Brooklyn. Happy birthday to George Gershwin. He would be 127 today. I don't think he's around. 1932, the economist and politician Manmohan Singh, who was the Prime Minister of India from 2004 to 2014, was born in Gah in West Punjab. Happy birthday to him. In 1959, Typhoon Vera struck the Ice Bay region of the southern coast of Honshu, the largest of Japan's 4 main islands. More than 5,000 people died, almost 39,000 were injured, and 1.5 million were left homeless. Pretty bad typhoon. Of course, typhoon is just a hurricane in the Eastern Hemisphere. 1969, the Beatles released Abbey Road, their last recorded album, Let It Be. Though mostly recorded earlier, was released in 1970. So this is the Beatles releasing the last of Abbey Road in 1969. After that, there was no more Beatles. They never recorded in the studio again. Ever, the end. I was watching a pretty cool, I was watching the Disney Channel's Beatles documentary, the one that, whatchamacallit, put together.
I don't know.
Pretty interesting
stuff. Talking about you.
The guy who made Lord of the Rings, what's his name?
Okay, I don't think it's a Disney Channel. I don't think it's a Disney Channel documentary. It was released on Disney, maybe.
Peter Jackson put together a documentary using all the footage from Let It Be.
Yes. That last recording of Abbey Road, basically.
He released it on the Disney Channel. So I was watching it the other day, and I was watching how everybody was grumpy and not getting along and just angry and like, I hate you guys. Why are we here? And then Billy Preston showed up. The keyboard player, Billy Preston, was a black American who they knew from the old days because he used to be the keyboard player for Little Richard. So they'd known him since they were all anonymous. And Billy Preston shows up, and all of a sudden everybody's on their best behavior, and they cut 3 tracks right there, right after the other, right? But Billy Preston on keyboards, because everybody's like, oh, Billy's here, we got to be in our best behavior, we got to be nice little boys. The mood improved 1,000%. That was probably the best part of the part.
Yeah, anyway, don't waste Preston's time, okay? With your squabbling.
Yeah. They wanted to impress him. He's an American black guy. We can't be mean to each other. He's going to think badly of us, right? That was the whole thing.
That's a lot of 1969. Sure, yeah.
Oh, it was obvious, right? Everybody was hating on each other right until Billy Preston showed up, and all of a sudden everybody's like, "This is Billy. Hey, George Martin, have you met Billy Preston? Look at him. He's our best friend. Hey." John Lennon even made him part of the band right on the spot, you know. 1969, the American sitcom Brady Bunch premiered in the ABC, and it became a pop culture phenomenon. Here's a story about a mysterious family. We don't know what happened to their old spouses. Now, 1983, Stanislav Petrov, a Soviet military officer, decided that a computer warning about the U.S. missile strike on the Soviet Union was a false alarm. He was correct, and was later credited with avoiding an outbreak of nuclear war. Way to go, Stanislav. Knowing your shit, knowing this thing ain't working right. It's just a false alarm. 2008, American actor Paul Newman died at the age of 83. His striking good looks. He died within like a week and a half of the same time his co-star Robert Redford died. That's interesting. Of course, it was 17 years ago. Whose striking good looks and compelling performance made him one of Hollywood's most popular leading men. He was Butch Cassidy in Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. He was Slapshot, probably one of the best hockey movies. They're showing a picture from it. That's why I remember it. 2024, Hurricane Helene made landfall in Florida's Big Bend region as a Category 4 storm. It cut through multiple states in the southwestern U.S. over the following days and was responsible for more than 230 deaths, most of them in North Carolina. Terrible, terrible storm that people weren't ready for. Oh, hurricane, ain't gonna hit here. We're in the mountains of North Carolina. Wrong. A lot of rain you got. Not so much the wind, but the rain and the flooding. Our featured event 1960 is the Kennedy-Nixon debates. The first televised U.S. presidential debate. The first in a series of historic debates seen by 85 to 120 million viewers between U.S. presidential candidates Senator John F. Kennedy and Vice President Richard M. Nixon was broadcast on this day in 1960. Our feature biography is T.S. Eliot, one of our relatives, distant cousins, T.S. Eliot. That's right, American English poet, playwright, and literary critic. He was born September 26, 1888. And died January 4th, 1965 in London. He was born in St. Louis, Missouri, but died in London. There's your reverse immigration right there. He died at the age of 76. Now, T.S. Eliot, the S stands for Stearns. And me and you, and T.S. Eliot all trace back to the same ancestor named Thomas Stearns, who started Stearns Publishing in Massachusetts. So we go back to that guy, and so does T.S. Eliot. His mom was named Stearns. That was his mom's maiden name. So he's like right down the line from Stearns. Other birthdays today: Martin Heidegger, German philosopher, 1889. George Gershwin we covered. Manmohan Singh we covered. Serena Williams, the greatest woman tennis player of all time, born in 1981. She's turning 43 today. Ooh. Getting up there in age, man. She's retired now, but her older sister, Venus, is still playing. I just seen her play at the U.S. Open in doubles. Our National Day calendar, it's a few things today. We'll wrap it up today. Hopefully sometime today we'll wrap it up. National Dumpling Day. Love dumplings. National Situational Awareness Day. Be aware. Be very aware of where you are. And they're showing a pickpocket or a purse thief in this picture. It's a purse thief, mate. Be aware. Everybody around you is a thief, possibly. National Compliance Officer Day. Compliance officer is like, you're complying with stuff. My job is to make sure you're complying. Poor guy. National Brave Day. Should be brave every day. And National Gay Men's HIV/AIDS Awareness Day. You should always be aware of HIV/AIDS anyway.
And not just because you're gay.
Yeah, right. It's like
everyone can get it.
That highly specific thing that tends to trivialize it, if you ask me. It's just like, come on now. Well, we got to be so specific about it. Anyway, there's your days. There's your mispronunciation, your technical issues, your bad camera stuff from hell. Everything else for September 26th. Wait, we got no food today? Oh, dumplings. Oh, yeah. So everything for September 26th, 2025. I'm going to be 4 dumplings. Dumplings. I'll make some dumplings right now.
And similar to how Kennedy and Nixon had the first presidential TV debate, we're your first and only international game show. There you go. There's your metaphor.
That's right. Yay. There can only be a one-time first, and we're the first. Just like the first to ski down the Mount Everest without oxygen.
It's also
right
international.
Now, he's not,
there's a couple of international
He's the first
days
and the only.
Coming tomorrow on the weekend, and today is International Day for the total elimination of nuclear weapons. Something I was talking about yesterday, right?
Works for me.
Was, bragging that they could create like 40 nukes tomorrow or whatever. How about we just get rid of them?
Oh, sure.
Just completely. Just throw them all into space, put them on Pluto or something, and forget about them. It's also World Tourism Day.
I think more likely to detonate one on themselves.
Tourism Day is in September when everyone's in school. But I guess if you're not in school, time for you to go tour places because all those families and their kids are at work and at school. So you can now go tour free from all those screaming children. Today on
it's school trip day.
Tomorrow on the 27th of September. And then finally...
Yes, that's a Saturday. Saturdays, man.
On Sunday will be the International Day for Universal Access to Information. You know that thing, Google and Wikipedia? You have access to that, but not everyone else does. There are people out there who have terrible censorship. They don't know about certain things. They don't know about data. They don't even have libraries, God forbid. Let's not even talk about digital information, but literal information is not available. So
yeah, if you want information, you can find it. It just depends on how much your government suppresses it.
I know there's a lot of people out there who get annoyed when, you're on social media and they say, wait, can you explain what that is? I don't understand. And then you go say, and people always reply, Google it. Like Google even works these days, right? It's so much easier to have a conversation with somebody than to just tell them to dismiss them, right? And tell them to go figure it out themselves. That's not going to make the world better. Just, go figure it out yourself. But
it's just when people think you're making something up. That's when you say that. It's like, Jesus, why do I got to say this? This thing's been in the news, and you're just you've been watching Fox News, right? You don't care. This thing has never happened as far as you're concerned because you're, by design, limiting your choices. And I can't deal with people like that. They don't want to know. Sorry.
But if they do actually ask, I think you should just help them. But that is our week done. With the 39th week of the year done.
Wow.
Only, 13 to go or something.
Jeez. Yeah, only 3 months left in the year.
And this has been Friday's News Dump. We will see you next week on Monday for Mucking Fun Day. We're going to tell you all the news you might have missed of the weekend, plus whatever hell's going on Monday. So make sure you're following or subscribed so you get notified when we go live or post a video. You can support this show on Patreon, which is in the link of the chat now in the pinned message. And if you don't want to do any of that, you can just like the video, share it, and comment down below what one of these stories freaked you out the most. And here is our mic drop moment.
If it blows children up or it gives them asthma, he wants to invest. David Rubenstein, everyone.
The Willow Project is going to ruin the planet, financed by
If you haven't heard of David Rubenstein,
let's give him a hand.
And data centers are poisoning people.
He's a billionaire.
In black communities.
Private equity, public enemy.
Hell yeah, fuck the fundraiser. Why does a billionaire need a fundraiser? By the way.
Politicians are there. Politicians are there. So they're fundraising for the billionaires.
This is literally just bribery, right? Fundraising from
Carlisle
billionaires is
Group.
bribery.
Make a toast to David Rubenstein for owning 77 fossil fuel companies,
Maryland governor
a dozen
there.
weapons companies.
2 governors, right? Like I'm saying, it's a fundraiser. They're raising money. They're like, oh, maybe I can get some money for these millionaires for my next campaign, you know? Everybody's always running for something.
Owns weapons. If it blows children up or it gives them asthma, he wants to invest. David Rubenstein, everyone. Thank you.
I like how these people just got in, right? They wore suits. They got invited. They got tickets somehow.
No toast, huh? You gotta leave, dude.
Hold on. Thank you so
That poor
much.
black guy is like, yeah, I know I'm on the wrong side. I know I'm on the wrong side.
There is bipartisan consensus not only
I should have mic'd this guy up, though. I can barely hear him.
what's happening in Alaska right now. The Willow Project
This is what's called good trouble.
financed by yours
Truth to power.
They sell, like, really easy Wi-Fi microphone, Bluetooth microphones, you know?
Wes Moore don't want to be there. He's like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here.
And you're like, oh, this is so nice. We deserve like $500 for chicken. You guys should be so ashamed of yourselves. Your children are not going to be able to grow up because of what you're doing here today.
There's a lot of cameras there, too, filming this. Goddamn.
More. You campaigned on climate justice. And
There wasn't just 2 or 3 either. There was a bunch of them. They just kept standing up one after the other.
Data centers are poisoning PG County and black communities. You vetoed the Renew Act.
There.
Isn't it funny how rich people get so angry at people holding their flags?
Private equity, public enemy. Private equity, as you say.
These were billionaires. The planet's dead.
David
Rubenstein is a monster.
I think somebody's going to bring the point up.
David Rubenstein is investing billions of dollars in fossil fuel companies. It is an outrage that their platform.
I like how they just keep on revealing more and more people.
Now, what's more about David Rubenstein? I mean, yeah.
Ironically, they're
He's the one
discussing
talking right
FEMA's
now.
response to Hurricane Helene. What FEMA?
Which
FEMA
was
doesn't
here.
exist.
And not anymore.
What
They're going to blame
FEMA?
Biden.
Oh yeah, we'll invest in helping the hurricane. We're not going to stop the hurricanes coming because they're going to increase in severity as we continue to melt the planet. But you know, we will take care of making sure that the planet, the people who are in those poor areas, drown to death. But don't worry, your $1 million mansions on the coast will be safe.
Nah, don't worry about it. You got a yacht. Yachts
I'm
float.
just making up what she's saying because I can't really hear her. They didn't give these guys microphones, I guess. I don't
They're
know.
letting her talk. There's a little bit too much of that. They could have edited this part out. Can't understand what she's saying anyway. And this is filmed from the lobby as people getting thrown out.
Yeah, thanks. Good job. Good job.
It's
I mean,
not
that's
some
what you
hotel in
expect to
DC
do when you
or
protest,
Darling.
is to get kicked out.
Well, when Red Lobster or your favorite restaurant or whatever gets shut down, it's because private equity bought them and
monumental
shut them down.
Conversation. Sponsored by Wells Fargo.
Yeah, this part of the business ain't making money. Let's shut it down. Let's throw people out of work.
I've been to stuff like this, not specifically this stuff.
Monumental conversation. I wonder why we're still getting filmed.
Rubenstein, it's a huge private
They're
equity
walking
guy.
us out of the
As we know,
building
private
now
equity
because we're
destroys everything it
disruptors.
touches. If there's something you like,
You gotta
in
make
life,
sure we don't
just
trash the
know
hotel.
that private equity has ruined.
Here's where he
at some
talks about
point.
it.
Toys R Us, ruined by private equity. Red Lobster, ruined by private equity. If you like access to clean water, private equity's ruining.
Oh
that.
no, but I can make money off of
Just,
selling clean water.
disrupted,
Why would I give it to
It
people for
was
free?
Youngkin, Governor Youngkin,
Mm-hmm.
Governor Moore, and moderated by David Rubenstein.
Oh shit.
So he owns the Carlyle Group. So we were really after him, per se. If there's something you like, private equity is destroying it.
Old hippie guy loves
I
it.
mean, they're destroying the climate. They're destroying your access to water. It's just, I mean,
The aesthetic of McDonald's.
Yeah.
The aesthetic of the McDonald's, that's very important.
Like the people that are complaining that
We're not going to pair workers, but we're going to make sure that we rebuild the entire McDonald's so it looks good.
Literally.
They thought you were part of the speech because the cameraman came close and like the guy on the microphone pulled out.
That is a beard. You're correct, Rick. Hello, also hello, Rick. Long live anime, or whatever they said. No, they said private equity is bad. That's what
Dude
they
had
said.
Santa Claus on his side. Dude had Santa Claus standing right
these
there.
are governors of Maryland and Virginia meeting a bunch of billionaires and saying, we're going to make sure that you guys get plenty of money and that we invest in your private equity and everyone else dies. You're welcome. Woohoo! Fuck the planet! Yeah!
It's more like I'm the governor of the state, and I probably have a campaign.
Be sure to hit the like, subscribe, and notify buttons, and follow our other channels. Toxic Alley, Mr. Gravy, and Scratch Your Record.